Trigun, as I have mentioned in a past video, is my favorite anime. The protagonist of that story is a pacifistic outlaw called Vash the Stampede. A man with spiky yellow hair and a red duster coat. Really, I think he has such a wonderful character design for a sci-fi western hero. Aesthetically, Trigun leans more into the harsh Wild West setting, with the sci-fi elements being subdued, as little remnants of technology that have since been lost. Vash also wears round yellow sunglasses. And he's also got a revolver, which, as someone who doesn't like violence, he prefers not to use if he can help it. Now that I've got him sketched out, I'd like to welcome you lovely people to Laurel and Artistry. I outline our outlaw in black. I described him as pacifistic before, but that's not completely accurate, as his rule is not against fighting or using any kind of force, but rather against taking a life. He's a rather curious and mysterious figure, who we slowly get to know throughout the show, as more and more about who and what he is begins to slowly be revealed. Actually, he's a very Superman-esque character in many ways. Time to paint him in, starting with his red coat. I realized I forgot a few extra details I wanted to add to his clothes, so I draw those in real quick. And then I continue to color him in. When I draw animated characters, sometimes I do worry that it could come across as just copying someone else's art. But I do hope that I can add enough of my own spin that it doesn't come across that way. After I finish coloring, I shaded the whole thing with black to get a very stark contrast in lighting. Vash is generally a rather friendly and upbeat guy, though often the over-the-top goofy and cheerful demeanor he displays is much more of a facade to mask the pain and turmoil he's really going through. Now I darken the background, and because people have asked, I'll show a little behind the scenes of how my digital drawing process works. Here is where I can select the layers of my drawing. I select and duplicate the color layer. I turn the saturation down all the way and adjust the brightness a tad. Now go to color balance. I add a little bit of a brown tone to the black and white layer, I guess making it more sepia tone. I make a new layer and turn the opacity to 50%. I pick up the color from his jacket to use because I just want to darken the lighter parts slightly. I outline all the parts I'd like to color in: the eyes, the glasses, the face, and the hair. Fill that in, and do the same thing with his weapon. If you're wondering about the pink glove, I wear it so I can rest my hand down on the iPad whilst avoiding any potential messing with the screen. It's a bit too big though. Zoom out. Merge the layer I was just working on with the lower layer. Zoom in. And now we're going to erase some parts of this layer to reveal the more colorful layer underneath. These spots are kind of meant to be the places where the light is hitting the strongest. I look at the Trigun anime, the 90s one, a bit as a coming-of-age story. Vash is, in many ways, very naive and childlike in his understanding. He isn't wrong for valuing life and wanting to protect it, but he does seem to have an overly simplistic notion that he can and should be able to save everyone, putting the pressure on himself, as well as others, of living up to an impossible standard. Along with that, he leans on, not a philosophy that he's matured into by his own reasoning, but he's holding on to what was taught to him as a child by his mother figure, Rem. He lost her when he was still a child, so in many ways he's clinging to a childlike loyalty of her ideas as a way to try to keep her close. He's afraid to let her down, afraid that if he fails, he'll lose that last remaining part of her. Ultimately, he starts to see in others the same qualities he admired in Rem. And through that, I think he realizes that other people have valuable perspectives as well. That Rem's views shouldn't be discarded, but he can learn from others and consider their viewpoints. He starts to realize that he can still honor her memory, whilst discovering and shaping his worldview for himself. He also comes to really grasp that to fall short in life is inevitable, but there's forgiveness to be had, and if he gets up and keeps striving, that there can be redemption. This realization helps him face his brother Knives, the antagonist of the story, from a place of both being prepared for what might need to be done, and a willingness to forgive and try to save him from the dark path he's chosen. Okay, that's it for my little behind-the-scenes view I gave you. Hope that those who were wondering can now get a better idea of how my digital drawing is done. I finish up erasing the spots I want to, and then add a few extra details like light reflecting on the glasses and revolver. I add in some light to the left side of the background. And now I add in a few moons belonging to the planet they're on. There are at least 5, but I'm only going to add 3. I'll just fade those a bit to make them subtle hints in the background. I don't have nearly enough time to say everything I want to about Trigun in this video, so I'll just have to do some more drawings on the subject in the future. And with that, I'm done. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the drawing, and I hope you'll be back again. In the meantime, try to avoid getting a bounty of $60 billion double dollars on your head. Love and peace. Ciao!